Good morning. Happy Friday. It is a Friday. How excited are we? Oh my goodness. Love me a Friday. How about you? What are you doing this weekend? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now because I am very, 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 very excited. I am having my two little grandsons sleep over tonight. So they've got them coming over and we will lay out a foam mattress on the floor in the living room and hang out and have my little pumpkins. They are 3, almost 4, and 2. So, hello. And they're boys. So I'm so excited. James Giovanni and Levi William are going to come and sleep at my house tonight. What are you guys going to do? And then I have a wedding tomorrow to go to. I've got so many things going on. Really busy, amazing, gorgeous weekend in Minnesota. How you doing? Nice to see you. Kirsten Liebelt here. Tell me where you're coming in from. Tell me if you are on the replay. I would love to know. Okay. Cheryl, good morning. I was just saying in my stories, I just got off my stories. I was chatting about some stuff. And I am hearing from you guys. You are getting ready for the gut primer reset. First 10 days of October, first 10 days of November, first 10 days of December. I'm very excited about that. Get into the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you. Good to see you. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Get into the group. And you know what we're just going to do? This is not like the 5-day challenge, okay? The 5-day challenge that starts on October 14th. And this is our 17th one. We do one every single month. That is me going live every single day in the group. We're talking about insulin resistance. We're talking about ingredient trade outs. We're doing a pantry and a fridge reveal. We're doing a recipe. Oh, work, boo. I know, Cheryl. I know. I understand. Right? What are we going to do? We got to make money. We got to pay bills, right? And so that's the challenge is more intense. The 10-day gut reset is to give people a track to run on to just reset your gut. So let's do 10 days of gut information and things that are connected to insulin resistance that people probably didn't know. And let's just have an engaging 10 days. And then you can choose if you want to, because one of the gut primers will give you 3 resets, or you can do it the whole 30 days. I'm already on the 30-day plan. That's just me. But for anybody who's wanting to try it, you're going to grab a gut reset, get 3 resets out of it, and then do a probiotic of choice. Either the one that's the powder or the stress. And I've been in my DMs talking to you guys. The stress one is a pill. And so if you have high cortisol, if you have, you just know that your adrenals are shot, you're not sleeping well at night, you need to deal with some of the whole, maybe a little bit of anxiousness. That's the probiotic you want to pick. If you just want comprehensive 5 strains, pick this one. This is the balance. We can chat about that though in the DMs. Okay. So don't ever, ever, ever allow yourself to sit and be confused about any information I give you, because the chances are high. I'm just saying, I know that it can be challenging. You're trying to pick up what people are putting down, but you know what? What's in our head might not be coming out very clearly. So just don't let yourself be confused. Make sure that you always reach out. And so I've just been really blessed by people going, I already got my gut primer and my probiotic. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, yes, because you understand what you're doing for yourself for the next 90 days. Gets me very excited. Good morning, Magda. Happy Friday. Good to see you. Good to see you, Sherry. My last name is Liebelt. Thank you for asking. It looks like Liebelt, but it's Liebelt. And maybe I've said that before and that maybe confused you. Because I'll say lie like you lie down, and then belt like you wear a belt. It looks like Liebelt, because that's where you can find me all over on social media. Kirsten, K-I-R, and then Liebelt, lie down, belt that you put. Okay, right? Because I'm just trying to help people. Because both names, well, my maiden name is Fragali. So back in the day, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Back in the day, I always knew it was a telemarketer. Always. Never. Not probably one time. I'm probably not exaggerating. Did anybody get my last name right? Mrs. Fragale there? Is Mrs. Fragley? Mrs. Fragile? Mrs. Fragoo? They never got it right. So Liebelt is actually a step above. Anyway, okay, so we have been talking about, that's our housekeeping for the day, the 10-day gut reset, and then the challenge on the 14th. And on Monday nights, we've added 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We've added going through this book, you guys, Self-Sabotage No More. You can grab it if you want to, but you don't have to. I mean, you know, if you want to go through it, it's a little book, but I want you guys to have mindset. So you have a very comprehensive structure that you can grab a hold of for the entire holiday season and land on your feet January 1st. Get ahead. Even I had somebody lose 25 pounds over Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's last year. So you can get ahead. Anyway, thank you, Cheryl. You're amazing. I so appreciate you. So this nutrition roundtable, which, and I saw a post and then I quickly lost it. You know how this goes. This is why I always tell people on TikTok, like, if you're interested in insulin resistance, follow me because I'll get lost into the algorithm universe. I lost it. And this happens on Instagram too easily for me because every time you go back into the app, it resets. Anyway, I don't know what publication it was. Already, immediately putting down this nutrition roundtable. They are just ruthless against wanting to absolutely destroy our health. It is unbelievable. How do you make fun of experts that are begging you to help us as we literally are like, our arms are barely above the water and we're going under and we're like, help, help. And they immediately in the MSM go, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at how silly they are, or whatever they said. I'm being very sarcastic, but I'm just saying, like, this is dumb. So anyway, American Health and Nutrition Roundtable. Somebody told me, hi, Jan, you missed the first Monday night. You'll be there. What time? 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we were about maybe 25 minutes on the self-sabotage conversation. I'm just going over information and then people can just like listen or go with me in the book. It's not really meant to be like a long live of chatter necessarily. Just, because it's whatever. I have my thoughts, like, because I can talk a lot, so I don't want to do that. I'm doing so good today, Linda. And I can't remember who it was that was telling me they went back yesterday. I have to look at my messages because I just briefly saw a flash of a message that you, whoever it is, you went and you back and you watched the entire roundtable and it took all day. Who told me that? Anyway, and so I've only listened to bits and pieces. This is really amazing information. And so the last 2 days we've been talking about Casey Means, who is the surgeon from Stanford University, who basically, kind of like threw in the towel and said, I'm going to figure out why people are getting sick and coming to get cut open. And that's the information that we went over the last 2 days. Stunning information. If you need to go back and watch the replays of this, if you ever need to see replays more easily, go over to my YouTube channel. It's my same name, Kirsten Liebelt. Subscribe over there. And all of these every day when I go live at 10 a.m., I'm also, because of StreamYard, this is actually why I can't see all the comments all the time, because I'm using StreamYard when I'm doing Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So, whatever, but YouTube has them laid out better. Facebook is not so much, right? Facebook can be a little more confusing. So jump over to YouTube and you can easily see those replays. And maybe that's just a good tip for you. You just ordered her book. Casey Means. I have got to order her book. I really do. Because it is so inside of me, you guys. It is so, I feel, I'm going to get into Jillian Michaels' information right now, but I'll say this first. I feel like I have spent years since the death of my father and his type 2 diabetes, his downfall of health, his sickness that kept him from enjoying his family as much as he wanted to, and all of the things that happened because of it. Like, you guys think about this. He was diagnosed with type 2 at 35 and he was dead at 63. And he had a lot of medications that, of course, they weren't going to, but they did not pull him out of anything. They didn't help him with it. Doesn't matter. But all of these years, I kind of was like, how can this be? And I was questioning, and then I started to research, and I started to look at Maria Emmerich and her information, and I started to kind of, like learn about supplementation that I talk about all the time, the trio. I started to like I'm just picking at how can this be? And is this really true? And does this make me a conspiracy theorist? And this is, like I'm questioning and all of these things. $23. Thank you for telling me that. Perfectly Imperfect. Good morning. Good morning. Good to know. That's a cheap book for that, probably good information. And I feel like when I'm watching this nutrition roundtable, I feel so like somebody is saying things that have been in my head, but also too, they are totally validating on a much higher level of credibility, like how any mainstream media publication or TV station can attempt to invalidate the information that they're bringing. They're only bringing facts. Nobody's talking about their opinion. When you can hold up a bag of Fruit Loops that is in Canada and the colors are pale because they use actual fruit juices to color it, but in America, they are neon red, blue, yellow, and orange, and green, whatever, because of the chemicals and the food dyes that they use. And the ingredient list is like this in Canada and like this in America. And we have the issues that we have. Like, this is not, we're not grasping at straws here. We're asking them to be held accountable to what they're doing. And if anybody can think about the movie, tell me the name of the movie that had, this was like maybe 15 or 20 years ago. I was going to look it up before I got on and I forgot. And it's where the kids are so obese. It's an animated movie. They're so obese and they're in their little pods and they're scooting around in their pods. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy? And it was just like a future reference of what our nation would look like. Thank you for sharing so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. Anybody on TikTok, when you guys tap the screen and share the content, I'm telling you what, thank you so much. I kind of tease and say you're doing the Lord's work, but you really are helping a lot, because TikTok, that's the universe of TikTok. Good morning, Carla. Good morning. Yes, her information is amazing. So Jillian Michaels yesterday, who, of course, I've never done a Jillian Michael workout. I know that she was on The Biggest Loser. I didn't know a lot about her. I just kind of knew who she was as a personality. And this is what she's talking about. She's talking about the corruption from big corporations. And so I'm just going to kind of go through. What I did was I sat down and I listened to her piece and I took notes. And so I'm going to go over those just like I went through Casey Means stuff the last 2 days. Corruption from big corporations to transform Americans as young as possible into fat, sick, and literally dead cash cows. Like, this is what's happening. So in 1974, this is actually the year that she was born, less than 10% of our population was obese and overweight in 1974. Okay. I have to stop myself because I have thoughts. It was considered very rare prior to have obesity, very rare. By the late 70s, the growth of obesity had started to skyrocket. When she was 21 years old, so 10% in 74 to her being 21 years old, the obesity rate tripled. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you. Perfectly Imperfect. I appreciate you. Now, today, you guys, so 21 years, 74, 84, 94, 95. So when my dad died in 1995. From 1995, where it was tripled, to now, 75% of the population is obese. We have high infertility, high cancer, high anxiety, and depression. She said there was something that was very, very sinister that was happening in the 1970s. We blindly trusted the powers that be, while a plague was happening while we slept. Never, hold on. We never ever thought that they would betray us. It was unthinkable to question whether a corporation would poison us for profits. We thought that they were acting on our behalf. That they were actually trying to make food more affordable, more convenient for us. And what happened was she was talking about how then we had libraries and cafes popped up everywhere where you couldn't, you can't bring in your own food or drinks. No food or drinks, no food or drinks. But yet they would offer us 500 calorie, because she's probably talking about like what, Barnes and Noble, right? You got a Starbucks in there. 500 calorie drinks are being offered inside of there. And fast food is everywhere. And it was starting to replace home cooked meals. She says that eggs became heart disease, cholesterol bombs. This is what we were told. Marketing, eggs bad. But yet Honey Nut Cheerios get deemed heart healthy. Oh my gosh, like literally I've been saying this for so long. So she says this is obesity by design. By design. Orchestrated. She called it structural violence. I thought that was kind of an interesting sentence. Big farming, big food, big pharma. I should probably not say that word. And big insurance, all systematically corrupt. The Farm Bill created, and I don't really, I've never studied the Farm Bill. I don't know the details, but this is what she's saying. It created high yield, genetically engineered corn and soy, which were empty calories filled with toxins. They turned it into ultra processed food and beverages, strategically engineered to undermine society and foster your dependence, like nicotine and cocaine. So we literally can't eat just one. And to be sure that we don't, they added measures and they put added measures in place where we are inundated with food and given cues to eat, like they are just omnipresent. The advertising of food, the availability of food, the constant cues to eat. And she said, it's like they're omnipresent, ads on buses, vending machines everywhere, like commercials to kids all the time. Very antibody, which again is another interesting term, antibody, but body positivity. And if you do not go along with the body positivity narrative that obesity is accepted and good, then you are shamed. And she said, we have been called even racist for trying to tell them that, they call you a fat shamer or a racist or whatever. They just give you names if you are trying to actually help people with their health. Incredible. It makes me so sad. So many of us now suffer. I know. And this is literally Claudette. Good morning. I've had such a beautiful time chatting with your daughter, Claudette. What a beautiful person. Anyway, she's so sweet. Scary stuff. I swear I lose weight when I go to Europe and I eat the food. The food is pure. Yes, it's literally true. It is true. And it is the toxins. And the last couple of days, we've been covering that with the 80,000, I think it was 80,000 pounds. 1 billion pounds of synthetic pesticides are sprayed on our food every year. 99% of our farmland is sprayed. And a lot of these chemicals are being made from Germany and China. And then they're literally attacking us from within our own country. I mean, maybe that's a strong sentence, but I'm just saying. And then 8 billion tons of plastic, 80,000 toxins enter our food, water, air, and home that are, many of them, banned in Europe. And that's what Casey Means was saying that I went over. I feel like that might have been 2 days ago. And so back to where she's talking about how they've obesity by design. So, okay, all of the ads, antibody, body positivity. So she said, and I brought this up the last few days, even Time Magazine weighed in. What if ultra processed food really isn't as bad as you think? Because they are they're bought and paid for. They're literally bought and paid for. And remember yesterday when I was talking about how Casey was in this roundtable, she was talking about the American Diabetes Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics takes tens of millions of dollars from Coke, Cadbury, ultra-processed food companies, and V companies, like the one that starts with M. Do you feel sold out yet? Do you feel duped? And this is our obesity problem, you guys. This is our insulin resistance problem. Do you understand? This is the insulin resistance. This is the type 2. This is the lack of being able to even enjoy your life and living on scripts and side effects, and no bueno. She did talk a little bit about the O shot. But then she said, these monster corporations have mastered the art of distorting the research, influencing the policy, and engineering the environment and manipulating the consumer. To our children, even her as a child, her mom, she said, my mom just didn't know when she packed my lunch that she was packing it with, there were Frankenfoods, juice boxes with no juice in it, things like that. She said she would come home after lunch as a teenager and she would binge on Cheetos and Oreos, and they would eat KFC very regularly in their family. And she said, I would just in the evening, go to bed at night and basically be in somewhat of a food coma and be despondent, etc. And by 13, she was obese. And she was depressed and despondent. And so her mom, wanting to help her, took her to a pediatrician where they immediately, two of them, wanted to medicate her at 13 with PROZAC and the one that starts with RIT. So she said, total godsend in her life that her mom had a friend who had really good results with fixing things for her daughter by putting her into martial arts. And she said, my mom signed me up for martial arts, and I learned from this instructor who brought to us, he kind of isolated us and taught us how to nourish our bodies. He taught us the good things about nutrition and everything. And this is where she was able to turn things around. And she said, and this is how she ended her talk, basically. She said that the problem is that now we are so under it and we have to really be so intentional to get out. She said, but most Americans are too financially strained. They are too psychologically drained, and they are too physically addicted to break free. And so I feel, I don't know how to explain. I have been feeling angered by this for a very long time, but it took me, because they want you to think that you're crazy, and they want you to think that you are a conspiracy theorist, and they want to protect their narrative, because there's so much profit riding on our habits and our routines as Americans when it comes to food, etc. And so they will shut you down. And in fact, they will censor your content. I may get off and find, I hope not. I try to be careful, but you can, sometimes find, flags on your account from TT. And they will censor and they will shut you down, and they will tell you to shut up and sit down. Sit down and shut up, right? And this is how we know. So this is why my message has turned into one of, number one, insulin resistance is 100% reversible. It is not a terminal diagnosis. Stop listening to anybody that tells you you have to stay on scripts for the rest of your life. If you are to take action to turn it around, you can go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive, and it might take time. I don't know where you are on the spectrum of insulin resistance. Those are the factors that I can't answer, and I'm not a doctor. I'm an Italian girl, and do you know that this is what kept me for so long from getting online and talking about things? Because You're supposed to have credibility. The powers that be, we're supposed to trust the powers that be that tell Jillian at 13 she should be medicated. They're the ones with the good answers. Us little people who don't have letters after our names, we don't have any good advice. Like this is how bad it got, right? Like we were really, and when they censor you on the social networks, it's kind of a form of bullying to kind of get you to just be quiet and to not try again and to be afraid of having a video taken down or to be afraid that you'll get marks against your account or whatever. Okay. So much power, you guys. It's like the mafia. It's like the mafia. Anyway. And so the problem is that number one, we think that maybe this is just our lot in life. And I know this because this was what was in my head. Everything I talk about, this was in my head. I'm in my upper 30s. I haven't even begun to deal with my insulin resistance yet. My dad died when I was 30. I started my insulin resistant understanding when I was 22, pregnant with my first baby, gestational diabetic. Obesity and type 2 all over my family. I'm Italian. I'm in my upper 30s and I can remember where I was standing in my yard. I can remember the clothes that I was wearing and asking myself in my brain, it was a fleeting thought. And the fleeting thought said, should I just embrace this whole obesity thing, kind of like an Italian identity? That was the thought. Now, do you think that thought came to me from God or maybe from the enemy? Like seriously. And immediately I went, no. And then I kind of went on with my day. And I had no idea how I was going to do anything because I was very steeped in, like when Jillian, excuse me, I have such a tickle, you guys. It's like I was sneezing earlier. I think it's like allergies. It's like my nose tells me October's coming. That's what it tells me. When she's talking about how, oh man, now see, I touched my nose and then I lost my train of thought. That's hilarious. It doesn't matter. So in my, when I thought I had no idea how I was going to actually do anything, but I did know that my weight, and then when I transferred into my 40s, my weight just was going up and up and up and up. That's when my mom would not stop talking to me about my sugars. And she would be like, Kirsten, basically your dad died when you were 30. Like, what are you thinking, girlfriend? Why are you not paying attention? Do you even go to the doctor? Do you even know where your blood glucose levels are? Do you pee a lot? Are you drinking all the time? Like she was asking me all of these questions, and God bless her, because seriously, had she not bugged the crap out of me and was super annoying, I think I would have just kept living in my malaise. And so when Jillian talks about how she would literally at 13, she would come home from school and she would binge on Cheetos and Oreos and then they would eat KFC and it literally just left her. And she used the word despondent. And I think that that's what's doing. Thank you, Penny. She says she likes my laugh. You're so sweet. Because we're eating all of this food that is literally, she calls it Frankenfood, and that's what it is. We do become apathetic. We become despondent. Did you know that some of these chemicals that are being sprayed on our food, like it's lowering testosterone in men. It's turning male frogs into females. Like this stuff is crazy. This stuff is science fiction, right? But it's actually happening. And now we're watching the results of it. It's literally contributing to, sadness, the D word, anxiousness. It's contributing to all of this. This is why I'm so passionate about talking about, like, let's fix your gut and let's fix your sleep. You've got to fix these things. And of course, my main conversation is all insulin resistance, but insulin resistance leads to leaky gut. So it's like, so that's why we're doing the gut reset. That's why we're going to do 10 days in October, 10 days in November, 10 days in December. And you can get one container and get 3 resets and then get yourself a probiotic. And like, let's fix some things that they have done to us. We have to take back our lives. And I'm so grateful that I did begin to make these changes, because I sat with a lot of the stuff in my head. And now as I listen to this nutrition roundtable, I'm like, I feel validated. I feel vindicated. I feel that these were the thoughts in my own head for these last few years. As I've been shy of 51, I started trading out my ingredients. I'm now shy of 60. So it's been 9 years. Okay. And right around this time, when I was 9 years ago, I started to trade out my food ingredients, thinking that I would never, ever, ever be able to do it because I'm Italian, and thinking that it was going to be the hardest thing that I ever did on the face of the planet, because how was I ever, ever, ever going to get off of the foods that were strategically engineered to undermine society and foster my dependence, like as though it were like nicotine or cocaine, so that I literally could not eat just one. I'm putting this in my own tense, right? And to be sure that I didn't, I was inundated, just like you are, with all of the ads on buses and vending machines everywhere, and all of the the body positivity, the narrative, and everything being so, and these foods are being, they're so created, they are literally engineered, they are designed to create obesity. So I never, when I say that I did not know how I was going to change out my foods, I'm not joking. I'm not making that up. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I literally was like, okay, so I've never supplemented before, but I think I'm going to take a few supplements and tell my mom I'm taking supplements. Like, oh, okay, mom, this is what I'm doing. I mean, that was me like 10 years ago. So I'm like, mom, here I am. I'm taking my supplements, and she's like, okay, whatever. My mother wasn't a supplementer. She had me when she was 35. She just wasn't in the generation of a lot of supplements, and she was a Crisco mom. She did her best, and she lived to 94. God bless her. But I'm just saying, like, so I did this instead. I didn't know what this was going to do for me. And in fact, the trio, these are the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. Literally, these are the ones that supported me to lose 3 sizes in my 50s. They helped me to go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. I pulled it back. Because when your insulin is high, you can't lose fat. When your liver is tired and toxic, you can't lose fat. You have to fix what this has been doing, what all of this has been doing, from big farming, big food, big PHARMA, big insurance. What they were trying to do with us, we have to undo it from the inside out. This is why you actually can help your body on a cellular level. You can begin to prime your gut. You can begin to make it so that you can absorb your nutrients better, absorb your supplements better, absorb your probiotic better. You can shift things, but it's an inside out job. And it's a tough conversation because it's all the things that we can't see. But the benefit of all of that is I wake up and I don't ache. I have figured a way to, this is where Maria Emmert comes into my world, using a lot of ingredient trade-offs. This is what I teach in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, through a keto lifestyle, but a good one, a whole food, not a fad one. Don't be confused. Eating real foods, not ultra-processed keto foods, not ultra-processed non-keto foods. Let's get rid of ultra processed, altogether. Because, they're just going to keep marketing to you. Do you think they're only going to do it for the Oreos and the Cheetos? No. If they know that you're interested in keto, they're going to put it in keto too. They're going to go wherever the river takes them. And then they're going to lie to you. Okay. So by doing that, I've found a way to this is how you can burn fat off of your body. You can stop being a sugar burning factory. You can become a fat burning factory. And I can watch my fat pockets change. And I have been slower than the average bear. I am not going to lie. It's been a journey. I've gone on my own inside of my head, and I've assessed my emotional connections to food. I have, because, we were like weddings and funerals. No matter what you're doing, happy, sad, doesn't matter. You eat, manja, right? That was my Italian upbringing. That's why it was so strong. It was a kind of a stronghold, right? Eat, manja, eat. But then when you eat and you get fat, then they're like, oh, you should probably lose a few pounds. And then when you lose a few pounds, then literally I would hear, oh, don't get too skinny now. Like, what kind of mess is that? Right? But this was just normal small talk inside of my Italian culture. I'm just saying, it was kind of crazy. So the point being that now I just know I know how to take supplements, and I know how to make my body function. Tell my systems, come on, get up, start working again. Help my insulin to come down, help my metabolism to start working, help my belly fat, the fat that you can't see. There's a lot of we can't see that we need to be a little bit more concerned about the fact that, maybe we have big thighs. We don't want the big thighs. I get it. But there's stuff that's dangerous that's going on underneath. And if you're not absorbing nutrients because your gut is messed up, and if you have visceral belly fat that's encasing your intestines and your pancreas and your liver, it's not a good outcome. And type 2, not a good outcome. My dad died. But, he didn't die just he did die quickly eventually, but whatever, because he was 63. He finally just had a heart attack. But it was after about a decade of really low functioning life and exhaustion, meds not working, side effects, throwing up on dialysis. Like he literally said 36 hours before he died, as he's puking in the toilet, because he had dialysis that day at my home, my childhood home that we just sold a few years ago. He's thrown up in the toilet and he says, this is no way to live. Because he would go to dialysis, throw up, then he'd feel good on the next day. And then the next day he'd go have dialysis and he'd throw up. And he just did that. And 36 hours later, he was dead. He was just like, I don't want to do this. He went to a dialysis session, went to the cafeteria, signed a check for his food. I'm sure the cafeteria was feeding him proper food, right? We're kind of, and he just died sitting right there. I was talking to my husband the other night, because I've said this so many times too, and especially over the last 5 years of taking care of my mom with dementia and my brother in and out of different facilities before he died in 2020. There is no difference almost between prison food, public school lunches, and nursing homes or assisted living, however you want to interchange that. All of those food systems, most of them are by the same food companies, and they're trash. They're complete trash. And it's literally all highly processed, ultra processed foods that are being fed to our prisoners, our elderly, and our school children. How do we get away from this? It's a question, right? Magda, so weird. My family would tell me the same thing as yours. Yeah, Magda, isn't it just crazy? Isn't it crazy? I know. I relate a lot to Hispanic families. I think the Italians and the Hispanics, we have a lot of the same conversations in our homes, for sure. Thanks for shining light into darkness, Carla. You're awesome. You are speaking truth, and I am listening, learning, and applying. I love you, Carla. You're so good. A lot marked keto is not a lot. You guys, I'm sorry. Keto bread at Aldi is not keto. Grain is not keto. If you're eating grain and thinking you're eating keto, you're not. You might be eating low carb, and maybe you're okay with that. Maybe it's working for you, but it's not keto. So anyway, yeah. And it's very frustrating because it is very, James, thank you so much for sending that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Waltzing Matilda. Yeah. She's talking about RFK. He's the one who ran the roundtable. So if you have not seen the roundtable, this is amazing. He's been sounding, I literally don't, I've not followed his career at all. Like, I don't know anything really about him. But now I kind of do, because now it's coming to light, this whole nutrition roundtable. He's the one that has been sounding the alarm on childhood V schedules for a very, 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 very long time. And so I've always heard that murmuring. I have personal connections to people that have, how do I say this? Because they're not my stories to tell. I have personal connections to people. I have friends who have severe implications from V's with children who are like 21. And so it's been all 21 years. And I'm talking severe. So anyway, I do listen to that kind of stuff, like, because I am curious. Like, obviously, I mean, we're not stupid, right? Are we stupid? Are we totally stupid to think that we're better off now than we were in 1974? When 1974, there was 10% of the population was obese, and now it's 75% of the population. Are we? Come on, we know this stuff. That's why you're sitting on my content or anybody else's content. We know something's up. We also know that nobody's admitting nothing. Nobody's taking any personal responsibility. And we all know that we're being like censored. Like, are we seriously that confused? Did 2020 not teach us anything? That we are so censored? Oh my gosh, like, how could this possibly be? I remember when it was happening at first, I'm like, wait a second, but I live in America. And they're like, we don't care. We're going to censor you anyway. You can't just say whatever you want. We'll deem what you can say. So interestingly enough, it all matched up with people that were making money. You can't say anything against PHARMA, all those things, right? Any of the V's, you can't say anything. That's not okay. Well, then okay, wow, something is up. And even if you don't have all the answers, which of course I do not, these are only just thoughts in my brain that I kind of am walking my own journey with, right? Because I'm like, what's going on? Like, what, and you're kind of having that for a long time. This panel, if anybody hasn't seen it, you can go on YouTube while it's not banned, or on Rumble. And it's called the American Health and Nutrition Roundtable. And it was hosted by Senator Ron Johnson. And the last 2 days on live here, we've been talking about Casey Means, who is the surgeon from Stanford, who basically woke up, is the best way that I can say it. And she basically said, after all of her statistics that she was giving, that doctors are really only taught that a human being has 100 different parts, and we are taught how to drug, cut, and bill insurance companies. And so she just doesn't want to do that. And so she's sounding the alarm. RFK has been sounding the alarm. Jillian Michaels is sounding the alarm. They are trying desperately to get anybody to listen to them, to hold these corporations accountable that are, because of the lack of banning of chemicals that are in our food and food dyes, et cetera. And because we're being poisoned. And so it's kind of critical mass now is what's happening. And so, and I have not listened to the whole roundtable. I think it's 4 hours long. I'm not sure. Somebody on here had said that you watched the whole thing. And I don't know, was that you, Carla? Who was it that watched it? I just saw a brief message, but I didn't open it up because I didn't have time yet to look at my messages. Is quinoa okay? It is a grain, so I don't eat quinoa. Yeah, I don't get my protein from grains. So we've been taught that we should get our protein from grains. And that has been a big, it's a reason, if you look at the food pyramid, it's a reason why we're in a pickle. Okay, because we've been taught to eat 9 to 11 servings of grain every single day. And that grain would be the best source of protein. That is not true. And that is a lie. And this is why we're in the problem that we're in, one of the reasons. And she even talks about, Casey Means, she talks about how 95% of the people who created the food pyramid had conflicts of interest with the food industry. So people who grow crops are in bed with the people that are creating the studies and creating the food pyramid. So the most recent variation that came out on the food pyramid, and I have not studied it or anything, I just know that basically by looking at what they just told us, Lucky Charms, according to them, is healthier than red meat. You guys, that's absurd. It is absurd. And even more than that, it's criminal. Getting us to think again, after we've gone from 10% obesity in 74 to 75% obesity in 2024, to continue to tell us the same trash that they have told us, so that we stay in our malaise, so that we stay in our apathy, so that we stay thinking that it's all about balance. It's all about balance. No, it's not. That is a narrative lie. It's not all about balance. All about balance would mean that you have pie at Thanksgiving. Anybody doing just that? Or prior to your journey that you're on now, that's better? We don't know what balance is in America. Balance used to be you had candy at the holidays. You were super blessed and lucky if you were given candy at the holidays. Now we wake up and we drink our candy. So it's not all about balance. And we've these ultra processed foods that are filled with chemicals. I was going to say chemicals, toxins, but that's the same thing. Chemicals and seed oils and additives and preservatives and food dyes. This is such an issue. Think about taking that and turning that into a sludge and then pouring that sludge into your gas tank of your vehicle. And you're trying to, and you're mad at your brand new car for not running. You buy a brand new car, you drive it off the lot, and you go to the gas station and you fill it with sludge. And the sludge is chemicals, additives, preservatives, food dyes, and seed oils. And you take it and you just shove it into your gas tank. And then you're really pissed when 2 miles down the road, your car doesn't work and it's a brand new car. But you keep just limping along and you literally never choose to change the oil. You never choose to change the oil and you go back in. You were supposed to go in after 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles, whatever. I'm not a car person. I don't worry about that part of it. But you wait until it's 100,000 miles and you take it back into the mechanic at the dealership where you bought that brand new car. You drove it off the lot brand new, had 30 miles on it. 100,000 miles, you wait. And they go, what the? Lady, are you just nuts? Are you off your rocker? What is wrong with you? How is your car even running? How did you even get here? Well, that's what we're doing with our food supply to our liver and our pancreas. And we're just like piling on visceral belly fat, just like encasing our intestines, encasing our pancreas, encasing our liver, like just our fatty liver rate is so high in our country. It's so high. It's so high. It's in our children. You guys, this is critical mass. This is a bad thing. Many doctors who sounded the alarm have been omitted from society. That is 100% true. If this is not proof enough. Yep. I mean, I'm serious, you guys. They wanted us to think we were crazy for so long. And I'm so thankful. I'll keep watching the roundtable because I'm so grateful that they would speak up and that they would give us this information, because this is a very well stocked, if that's what you want to say. It's a very stout group of people speaking out, people who have credentials that are like they're binding. They're coming together in mass. It's not just like Florida boys saying one, a doctor over here speaking out, sounding the alarm, and then sometimes they disappear. And that's happened since 2020, especially with the V's. Okay, blah blah blah. Anyway, but now this is a larger group, right? You have to have a larger group. You have to have a larger, whatever set of numbers to take on, because of a lot of power. The only sweets we ever got as children was a paper bag full of nuts, apples, and oranges at Christmas. Isn't that something, Carla? I remember these days. I remember it being just complete liar, liar, pants on fire, a full-blown blaze. Yes, that's right. And raise your own. Yep, we grow our own crops. Matt, good morning. And raise our own meat. I'll be getting a half a cow. So these are the things that I do. And it's been a process. And you do have to prioritize. You actually do have to change where your money's going. You actually do have to make different decisions. And this is the hard part, because we feel very deserving because we're very stressed out. And so we've been taught that if you feel deserving of a convenience fast food meal, that is something that you are rewarding yourself with, when in fact you're like putting yourself. But they've convinced you that that's a reward. So we spend a lot of money on eating out. We spend a lot of money on snacks in our home, etc. I don't do any of that now. I used to. I do very, very little. Like maybe I'll have some pork rinds in the house or something. But for the most part, we put our resources into buying grass-fed beef. We'll get a half a cow now again in November. We put our resources into, I do get farm fresh eggs, but to be really honest, that's not a sacrifice other than to drive to her house, because her pricing is like competitive, oftentimes even less than a local store. So she's amazing. But I can find farm fresh eggs. I have not found like a farm fresh pork yet. I could do that. I just haven't made it a priority. I do not drink raw milk. My daughter does. She drives almost an hour away to go get raw milk for her kids. So she does do that in Minnesota. It is not illegal. It's illegal to sell it in a store, but if you own a part of the cow, like as a co-op, you can buy raw milk. So every state has a different conversation on that. So she just started doing that. I never did any of this raising her. Like she was raised on white flour, white sugar, everything processed. Like I didn't know any of this when I was raising my kids. None of it. No. Didn't take supplements either. And so now what I do is I do buy organic when I can. And I've talked about this before. If I'm going to buy organic berries, sometimes I'm just going to buy them frozen, because that might be the only way that I can really get anything that has, whatever, a decent price and nutrition at the same time in Minnesota, because our berry season is short. And for fruits, I only eat berries really. And then for, greens and stuff like that, to be really honest, you guys, I end up actually my real food conversation, and this is why I do my pantry and my fridge reveal when I do the 5-day challenge every month in the group. And the group is called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. When I do that because I want you to see like how I'm stocking, and it's super streamlined. And I know, and I'm sorry, it's super boring, but out of those pieces, out of those staples, I can make everything that I love. It just looks boring because there's nothing prepackaged and I have to make it from scratch. I shouldn't say I have to, like it's hard. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. But I'm just saying, like, all of the money that we spend on eating out and with all the prepackaged, when you get like, like a little palm full of Doritos and you pay $6 for the bag, not only are you eating crap, that's not going to nourish you, but do you know how much you're paying per pound for that? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, go put that on a scale. I mean, we're eating all of these peripheral foods. And if we just stop doing that and putting our money towards that, you can actually like fill your kitchen with real food. I tell people all the time, literally for the price that you're spending eating out and for the price that you're spending on any of the snack foods that you're keeping in your home that maybe you haven't given up yet, or you haven't made that transition yet, or whatever, or maybe you're spending money on prepackaged keto foods. You can give all that up and you could eat steak and eggs every morning for that price. I'm just saying, like, it's just a reallocation of money. You're not spending more. You're just shifting the river. You can actually do it that way. And it's the same thing with supplementation. People are like, oh, well, I don't know. Should I take the trio? Yeah. Yeah. You should pull up the hood of your vehicle and get things going. That's the conversation I have. That's the starting point of every conversation that I have with somebody, is the trio. Doesn't mean you have to start there, but that is usually because we're talking about going from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive, opening up the cell. Let's deal with this at a cellular level, not at a tapping on the pancreas door level, right? So open up the cellular conversation. And then, the price that we pay for over-the-counter remedies. Do you realize I might do this, but guess where I don't spend my money? I don't take an antacid because I don't need to. Not solely because of it's because of the way that I eat, right? But also too that I'm not insulin resistant. I can put money into my gut primer, so I'm not using I'm not taking an antacid. I'm not spending money on ibuprofen or Tylenol or like my immune system is really sweet. And so I used to literally in my 20s, I was a waitress and I worked in a truck stop and I would get bronchitis. Like I would get sick with an upper respiratory like every 6 weeks. Like it was a constant. And so I spent so much money on dextromethorphan, which is that's the ingredient in cough syrup that helps you to stop coughing. And there is a brand called DM, like it's orange and it tastes like orange aspirin from when you were a little kid. And it was like at the time, I don't even know because I haven't bought it in years now, but it was like $8 a bottle, which was horrifically expensive. But I made sure that I had that on hand all the time because I was constantly getting sick with a cough. And if I was sick with a cough, that meant I couldn't work. So I would constantly be medicating my cough, et cetera, and being in a truck stop, a lot of smoke, et cetera. And so all of the over-the-counter remedies, the antacids that you might be taking, the pain relievers that you might be taking, all of this stuff, it adds up. And then if you're losing work or whatever, that's not my life. This was not me, but it is now. And I can understand now. You're just reallocating. You're just shifting your river. And you do have to shift your river. You remember when the milk got delivered in glass bottles when you were younger? Seriously, Kristen? We never had a milk person. But I do remember in my neighborhood in the suburbs, I do remember the roads being gravel. And of course, that's long, long gone. But I remember we had dirt roads and it was literally built as a neighborhood with dirt roads. So it wasn't like we were out in the country. I mean, it was the country, so to speak. They were building up the country. And so those roads were dirt. And then I remember them putting in city sewer for the first time and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't have a milk person. So isn't that interesting? And I know I'm missing comments on Facebook and YouTube. I apologize, you guys. StreamYard. So anyway, so that is just, I've completely shifted the way that I think. And I get so excited when I talk to you guys behind the scenes and you tell me how you are advocating for yourselves. You tell me how you are making changes and you're done with all of what did she say? She said, big farming, big food, big PHARMA, and big insurance. Systematically corrupt. Designed. Obesity by design. Obesity by design. They know. And they're not going to stop if they're not made to stop because they want to sell you the answer. You make the answer, you sell the answer. See you later, Carla. Have a good day. It's crazy. So if anybody wants a completely different track to run on for the next 90 days and then hitting January 1st in a completely different way, I would tell you to get into the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. You'll be tagged in a free PDF that gives you recipes, snacks, and pantry ideas. We will have a 5-day live challenge, our 17th one on October 14th. I'll go live for 5 days in a row. We will do a pantry and a fridge reveal, recipe, all the good things. And we have a gut reset starting October 1st. So the 1st through the 10th of October, November, December, a gut reset. If you want to talk supplements for anything that I'm talking about, the trio are the 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity. This is where I started 10 years ago. Fully supported me in now losing 3 sizes. I did a masterclass on these 3 alone last year. I think I'll do another one. I'll do a fresh one this fall. So that people can have a more, whatever, I was going to say clear. You can have a basic understanding of why this helps your body function so that you can drop sugars and weight. No claims, but I have people getting off of BP meds and stuff because when you reverse insulin resistance, you reverse the negative effects of insulin resistance. And then the other supplement that I would talk to you about is the gut primer. Because insulin resistance creates leaky gut. And leaky gut means that you're not getting the nutrients that you need, means that you are not producing the serotonin that you need, which can lead to anxiousness and sadness because it's a brain gut connection, things like that. And I could go on and on and on, 6 blends in one thing. But instead of doing this for all 30 days, which is, the way that it's created, and that's what I do, you can get 3 resets out of one and carry you through the holidays, the beginning of November or October, the beginning of November, the beginning of December, and then you just pick a probiotic. And you can always go to my site. It's my first last name.com, kirstenliebelt.com, and there's a gut reset cart right at the top. Just make sure that you register for your free customer account with your name. Just do that, because then I can send you a thank you card and a sample. Okay. But if you have questions, there's also a number there. It's the first thing that I put on my site. Here's a number you can text and you can ask me questions. Like, I see that there are 3 products in that cart. 2 of them are probiotics. Which probiotic should I take? I'll help you figure that out, because you only need one. You don't need to buy 2. You don't need to buy both of them. So I'm just telling you, you need to get more of this ginger mint tea that I sent. I'm so glad that you liked it, Matt. It is my favorite tea, because I don't like tea, but I like that tea because it's Christmas in a cup. So I'm glad that you like that. All right. So if you need anything today, let me know. I'm going to jump off. Enjoy your weekend. I have my grandsons coming today. They're 4, almost 4 and 2, and they're going to spend the night. And Papa and I'm Nona, and my husband's Papa. Papa and Nona are going to take the boys tonight. My daughter and son-in-law are doing a marriage thing at our church. And so that's really cool. And so this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I'm going to make the egg white bread, and I'm going to turn it into the danishes with the little egg yolk custard middle, so that they have a treat made out of the egg white bread with the custard. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe, maybe not. But like you would see that in a regular donut. Well, you can make it grain-free by using the egg white recipe. And then the middle, I'm trying to think, is it cream? Maybe it's cream cheese and egg yolks with sweetener and extract. And it's put into the middle of the dollop of the egg white bread batter. And then you put it in the oven, and you're basically creating these danishes. And then you can take a powdered like swerve or whatever with a little bit of unsweetened almond milk, and you can glaze them. And I just know the boys would think that that was amazing. And I can feed them good food, nothing that's Franken food for my babies. I can't fix everything for them, but I can fix that. Thank you for sharing so much, Beach Living. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So if you don't need anything else right now, I'm going to go, and I'll see you Monday morning, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then if you're already in the group, Monday night, we're going through the Self-Sabotage No More book. Okay. So don't miss out on your opportunity for the next 90 days to get through the holidays completely different than you've ever done before, and land on your feet January 1st, feeling like you actually gained strides because you took back your own advocacy. Okay. So, all right. I will see you Monday morning, and stay in my stories if you want to see my little boys or anything like that. All right. Have a good day, you guys. So good.